for the just because, mm, not just because you want to have a crown, let's say. So you have to continue doing the job that you say you are so eager to work in the community. Keep on working in the community. It's like I always compare it to religions. It's like if somebody is trying to get to be a priest and they didn't make it, that's it. They're gonna go to the devil's side now. No,
I know.
they continue
They
being
committed, right? I got
they
you.
continue being committed. They continue being a good man, a good person. There is a priest called Padre Alberto. He was a priest, ordained, full grown. But there was one of the parishioners. The girl kind of moved the eye so much into the priest, and the priest fall in love with the girl, and he got out of the angelhood and married the woman.
Oh,
So now Catholics, we don't go for that. Like, that's a no, we don't change or whatever. If you went that path, it's downhill from there, some kind of, right. But he had to. He is still, if he is not Padre Alberto no more, he had to continue to be, doing good for the people. I mean, it's not just because he has the outfit that makes it. The outfit doesn't make the hábito no hace al monje. The habit doesn't make the nun.
Exactly.
It's just exactly. So that's happened with the candidates. Candidates are very eager to come and sit in the microphone and say, "I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna resolve and I'm gonna do what? What do you want? That's it. I got that for you and you, everybody. So vote for me, and then forget it, and nobody calls them out."
Nope.
Right, Michael?
hey, you talking to the choir on this side.
Exactly. Nobody calls them out.
You are preaching. You are preaching, Miss Jolie.
Look, if you are an activist and you care about your community, regardless of your title, doesn't stop you from being an activist and continuing to care about your community, right?
Exactly.
And just because you're not a commissioner or mayor does not mean you can't advocate for policy. You
Correct.
can't mobilize. You can't, get people inspired about change in the communities. But let's just be real. A lot of times, a lot of people are about these titles, and titles don't necessarily equate to purpose.
But that's why
we gotta be very clear about that.
That's why they have to be called out. It's like, call up their bluff, even if it costs somebody, a bunch of people, not to voting for this person because she's too, she's too much in front and in people's faces. But that's what is necessary in order to prove the character of the person that is running. Because the politicians want the status. They want the status, but they don't know that the status is acquired to problem solving. When that's gonna happen. Not just nice talking everywhere and just saying the things everybody wants to hear. And then if they are incumbent, even worse.
I love it. All right, we are 1 minute out. Hello, Mr. Quinn. It's good to see you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Good, I can definitely hear you. I actually want to be in your room with all those bottles of champagne.
Nice.
Well, we're gonna have a party after this.
Yeah.
I see we have some of our membership is coming in and some of our associations. Abby, good to see you. Joy, good to have you. I'm going to go ahead and let the attendees in. Looks we have some already in. Excellent. I'm going to give it 1 more minute for our president, Ernesto Cuesta, to come on, and then we'll get started. We are, just so all the candidates know, and we'll wait for a couple of the candidates too that are still coming in. We are going to go try to run as much as we can on time, and but I do promise you that we have adapted the format a bit so that you get a little more time to introduce yourself and your candidacies. So I think it'll be a nice trade-off. Let's see here. Let me just make some last-minute checks, and then we can go ahead and get started. I saw your chat there, Abby. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. And Joy from the DNA, thank you for being here also. All right, let me get this recording started, and then let's go ahead and get started because I want to make sure that I leave plenty of time for our folks to get a chance to know you all and get through all of the particulars. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Joseph. I'm the CEO of the Urban Core Community Coalition, and I welcome you this evening to our Urban Core Virtual Candidates Forum. This evening, we are going to be hearing from the candidates that are vying for seats in our upcoming City of Miami municipal elections. And we thank them, the candidates, for coming out this evening and telling us a little bit more about them and why they are the best to serve not only the urban core, but our Magic City. I want to do a couple of housekeeping things first, and then we'll go ahead and get started because we do have an action-packed agenda for you. Besides welcoming our candidates, and I want to thank them for taking the time out to be here today. I want to thank their representation because a lot of them have campaign staff and others who are always looking out for them. And thank you for helping to get our candidates here this evening. I want to thank our attendees and special guests. We have a lot of associations and other board membership of both UCCC and some of the organizations that will be here tonight, BNA, DNA, and others. And so I want to thank you for being here. And then all the other attendees, I appreciate you being here this evening. Hopefully what you're saying is, like us at UCCC, you believe that Miami is in desperate need of change also and competent governance. I want to thank, as always, our communications partners at Christie House who believe it's important to keep the community informed and engaged and have been our sponsor for our virtual meetings for the year. If for any reason there are any technical issues, we have been running into some problems here at the office, and you get cut off, please sign up back onto the same credentials. We'll be right here and hopefully continuing the meeting without any interruption. Tonight's meeting is being recorded for future viewing. And so please, we ask that folks act accordingly. And we hope and know that a lot of our families, along with children, will be watching. And so we want to make sure we put the best example forward for all of those folks. If you have any questions or comments for our candidates today, please put them in the Q&A or the chat. We do want to address all of your questions, especially with these candidates, because a lot of them are new to us and we want to get to know them and how they would govern. Please keep it clean with your comments because all of the comments and questions are being recorded. If we don't address your question or comment tonight, I always make the pledge that I will follow up with the candidates to assure that your question or comment gets addressed and gets a hearing. So please send those our way. So let's get started. We start tonight on the context of that in the since our founding last year, we have received an unprecedented amount of communication from urban core residents and stakeholders. It's actually been overwhelming, the communications. And all of it has been seeking assistance either due to a lack of competent or working government, or worst of all, protection from their government and things that are being done to them during this pandemic time that we've had to find out on the fly. And for a lot of the residents, it's just become too much and overwhelming. The pandemic has confirmed for, I think, a lot of us, the importance of good, competent government. And that, frankly, bad, ill-functioning government is life-threatening, especially during this day and age of the pandemic. And so we can't afford to have non-functioning bad government. And we have a unique opportunity in the Magic City this election season. Two commission seats are open. The mayor's seat is up. And we have a third seat that soon will be vacated by a term limited, maybe elected to higher office individual. It's an opportunity to have a brand new Miami Commission, maybe one that works and functions for its citizens if we do our job right, because that part is not the public servants problem. That's our problem as voters, to put the right people into office who will do and address our needs and do what we need. So we get the government we deserve and that we earn. And that means as voters, we need to stay informed and engaged and get out and vote. And so tonight is about introducing you to all of the options. I know you read some of the media earlier today about why is it worth it to even come out tonight and meet these people, because they're not front runners. They don't have all the money. They don't have the name recognition. Well, we get the government that we deserve and we earn and that we work for. And so I hope, like me, you know that the power lies in your vote, not in their money, not in their name. All of it at the end ends up with you in the booth and making the right decision. And we want you to know about all of the people who are trying to serve you this evening and why they think they would be best. So I'm going to take a quick look and make sure our president isn't here. No, he's still not here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the candidate opening statements. The candidates each will have 1 minute to provide us an opening. And I called it an introductory statement because it is really about you introducing yourself to us, to the urban core, and really telling us why you would be the best to represent us and our interests on the City of Miami Commission. So let's start, ladies first, with Ms. Jolie.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody. And this is not my first rodeo. My name is Myra Jolie. I'm an immigration attorney, and I practice exclusively immigration and naturalization law in my offices in Brickell Avenue in Miami. I have run before. I ran before in 2018 with Michael, and I ran also for a seat in April, and now I'm running again. Every time I submit my application to run for a seat, it's because there is a need. It's because there is a void. It's because there is a obvious negligence on the part of the people who are holding those seats. And every time there is a seat open, it demonstrates what is it that the person who's coming is gonna do for the community, besides the fact that just say, I will do. The position that I'm running for mayor of Miami, it may seem like it's a bigger of a shoe for me to fill in, but I have a size 11 shoe, and I will challenge any of the people who have run to compete with what my reputation has been in doing for the community, even though I have not held an official seat. My name is Myra Jolie, and I'm running to be a mayor of Miami.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jolie. Let's go with Reverend Lincoln. Reverend Lincoln? Are you there? Reverend Lincoln? Okay, let's move on then to Mr. Hepburn.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Hepburn, and it's a couple of things I want you to know. One, I am Miami born, I am Miami raised, and I am Miami made. My family goes back to the incorporation of this city. In 1896, a member of my family was one of the first Black men, one of the 162 Black men actually, that incorporated this city. My father, Elijah Hepburn, grew up in Overtown. My mom grew up in Liberty Square. I grew up in Little Haiti. Every segment of our district I have been a part of, been an activist in, been a community member in, been a community leader in over the years, right? So running for this office is something that is so much more than just running for office. This is about putting people first. I literally walked every single block of District 5 because I wanted to make sure that we are having the conversations about what our government can look like, having the conversations about what Miami can be, and making sure we are taking steps to push everybody. So tonight, I am definitely happy to be here to have this conversation, to share with you about me and my family and our ideas, as in us, the people, ideas as far as what we can do. And I look forward to answering any questions that you may have. But one, just want y'all to stay inspired, stay engaged, and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hepburn. Reverend Lincoln, are you there?
Mute.
Reverend Lincoln, are you there? Okay, let's move on to Mr. Reverend Lincoln.
Yes.
We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have 1 minute.
All right. Yeah.
Start whenever you're ready. You have 1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute. All right. So Reverend Lincoln is running for commissioner for District 5, which I already sent my platform to tell you folks what I will do for Overtown. We need massive changes. And for all the past commissioners, they have not do anything with the bent and the suppression, particularly in Overtown. And I'm ready to do that. And I have the capacity and the audacity and the knowledge to do what is necessary for the commonality in District 5, which the past commissioner couldn't have done. Can you ask me any more questions?
That's it.
I am very capable to be the commissioner, the next commissioner, to make the changes. I'm contacting housing already for eradicating homeless.
Thank you very much, Reverend Lincoln. Thank you.
You finish with me, or I can continue?
For now.
Call me back again, please.
For you. Mr. Smith, you're up next.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Quinn Smith. I am running for City of Miami Commission District 3. And thank you for having me. And especially thank you to the UCCC for your commitment to change and for organizing around local elections. You're right. All politics is local. And I learned how to be a lawyer and an activist, advocating on behalf of a community organization before the City Commission in relation to a special use permit. And I learned a couple of things in that experience. First, that community organizations are the best ones to lead. And that as advocates or as lawyers or as public servants, that our obligation is to listen. And second, I learned the importance of tenacity, because we lost that vote before the commission, but then we challenged it in court and we won. And that's the kind of commissioner that I'm going to be. A commissioner that looks to and is led by the community organizations, that listens to and is responsive to the citizens, and one that is tenacious and standing up for what is right. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to this evening together.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. I appreciate that. Do we have Mr. Fremont, Zico Fremont? Mr. Fremont? Are you there, Mr. Fremont? I hear moving around. While we're waiting, do I see Maxwell Martinez? I do not. One more time, Mr. Fremont. All right. I guess forever hold your peace. Let's go on to the
I can see him. We can see him now.
Sam, he's here.
yeah, okay, Mr. Fremont, you there? Can you hear me? Unmute. You're mute. Can't hear you. There you are. I see you. And then go ahead and unmute yourself. No, not seeing anything. Okay, let's move on to the whole group questioning round. And for the first question in this round, I'm going to ask, but eventually I'm going to ask my association partners and some of our panelists to field some questions also. But the first question of the evening actually came to me last evening. I'll read you the quote. It says, from Suarez to Christine King, every race has a favorite, and you don't have any of the favorites. Forgive me for saying so, but why should it be you? And I'm going to finish up because it said, why should we tune in? But I'm going to ask the question for the voter. Why should it be you? Your opponent, who is not here, in every single one of your categories, has more money than you, more name recognition, and in some cases, the seat that you're looking for, the bully pulpit. So why you? Let's start with Mr. Hudson. Or I'm sorry, Mr. Hepburn. Sorry.
All right, so I'm gonna have to push back on that a little bit.
And and actually for this question, and this question only, I'm going to give you guys a full minute to respond because I know it's an antagonistic question, and I do want you to be able to, again, talk about your candidacy and what it is that's prompting you to run. So you have 1 minute, Mr. Hepburn.
All right, just wanted to say this. Actually, in our race here in District 5, I'll actually sit here and make the argument that I actually have the highest name ID. I'm a civic activist, won the Miami Herald Silver Knight Award back in 2001 in our community. Started the Attapata Neighborhood Association. I'm a volunteer citizen on patrol with the Miami Police Department, sit on the Miami Workers Center, and a whole bunch of other different departments and agencies and nonprofits that we've been able to work throughout these years. So every single segment of our community, from Upper East Side to Wynwood to Overtown to Model City to Buena Vista, there's pockets of people that know me. And then on top of that, we literally walked every single block of our city since last year. So if I had to talk about name ID, I think you're looking at the person that actually has the highest name ID in this race. But the reason I'm running is for our people. We are focusing on 5 things. That is to preserve and rehab and develop affordable housing. We're having a strong conversation about how we're going to treat gun violence as a public health crisis. We're talking about how we can move forward our education system and reimagine what we do, and also how we're going to create safe and sustainable neighborhoods on top of economic and workforce development in our district. So when we talk about issues and name ID and people that's actually getting stuff done, my name definitely comes up first.
Thank you, Mr. Hepburn. Thank you. Let's go with Mr. Smith.
Sure, thank you. So I don't find the question antagonistic. It's an honest question. And I think that the best way to answer it is to look at the kind of election that we have. This is a low turnout election. There's not going to be that many people that vote, unfortunately. But this is going to be an election about talking to people, knocking on doors, and getting people to the polls. And that's not going to be an election defined by money. It's not going to be an election defined by whatever it is that people assume to be name ID. We're not running for president. I'm running for city commission. And that means get out and talking to people. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's why they're going to vote for me. Now, why should it be me? It's because I'm going to bring some of the things that I talked about in my opening statement, that not only a passion for the city, but a way of looking at our community organizations and the residents in the city and going to them first and holding the people's seat and doing what I can to represent the people in that context and being open, honest, and transparent and doing what I hear every day whenever I knock on doors, which is that we need a change. We don't need the same names. And so the name ID, I think is a hindrance. In reality, what we need is somebody out there talking to folks. And that's what we're going to do. And that's why I'm going to be your commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Next, let's have Miss Lincoln, Reverend Lincoln. Reverend Lincoln?
You have to unmute the corner. In the right corner, Chief.
Yeah.
You can unmute it.
The right corner there, Reverend Lincoln. While we're waiting, let's have Zico Fremont. Are you there? Mr. Fremont? Nope. All right, let's go then with Myra Jolie. Ms. Jolie?
Yes. Running for mayor of Miami. Why should you run? Why should you vote for me? Because I am your last line of defense. If it's not me, you're gonna lose Miami. You can see that. If it's not me, you're gonna have somebody with the name only. If it's not me, you're gonna have somebody with the money. And when somebody with the money is put in by other people's money, they don't gonna care about your vote. They're gonna care about bringing, I don't know, maybe Tesla people over here. They're gonna care about bringing, something like Bill Gates money over here. They're gonna be worried about getting Bitcoin hub of Miami and not worrying about a building that just collapsed last night where 100 people are missing. They're gonna be worried about the newest high rises, 300 high rises and plus in Miami. That's what they're gonna be looking at because that's their interest. What is the new and the in? Forget about the old and the resident. You have to vote for me because for me it's you first. And you don't have to hear from me. Check what I bring in behind. Check who's Mayra Jolie in the community. And you're gonna see, to do good, you don't have to be in front of the camera. With the good and the good to the community that is done in silence.
Thank you, Ms. Jolie. Thank you. Reverend Lincoln, are you on? Can you unmute yourself?
Can you raise your hand if you're listening to us?
I'm trying to, but I can't unmute you, unfortunately.
But if she raised her hand, she's listening to us, so we can tell her where to go.
If you go in the top right, you should see it in the bottom left of your screen if you're looking at a Zoom screen. All right, well, let's keep going. I'm going to ask Joy Prevor from the Downtown Neighbors Alliance to ask a question. The next question. Joy, are you there?
So I'd like to ask a question specific to the issue of education. We in the Downtown Neighbors Alliance are extremely concerned about the issue of education because our children who live here in the Central Business District and Park West, that's our DNA footprint, don't have a school to attend. The school that we are assigned to is in Overtown. It is Frederick Douglass. And not only is it not in our neighborhood, it's not very accessible from our neighborhood. And when we have connected with parents in Overtown, what we repeatedly hear is that they do not want their children to go to that school. However, there has been ongoing resistance from the city of Miami and the Miami-Dade County Public Schools to do something to ameliorate the situation. So I'd like to hear from I guess it's Mr. Hepburn at this point because I don't think we're going to hear from the others. Specifically, your reaction to that issue and how you might approach this as you try to balance the needs of District 5 with the needs of the rest of the community. And for Mr. Smith and Ms. Jolie, if you could address this question from the perspective of how you might look at education citywide, and specifically in relation to a City of Miami education committee that has been disbanded years ago that could play a very important role in unifying the city around ensuring that education across the districts is elevated.
Mr. Hepburn, we'll start with you.
A very good question. I think you brought up one of the key pieces. One of the conversations I'm having with our residents in District 5 is just the concept of reimagining what education looks like across our city, period, right? So that is us building a coalition of having advisory board meetings that's tied to our public schools in our district, or even private schools, to be honest with you. Us being more hands-on with like Commissioner Russell or whoever the commissioner would be in District 2 and other places. So we are comprehensively looking at how we can identify infrastructure needs, how the city can help maybe financially assist in that area, how we can build better relationships with our school board members, because as you know, technically speaking, City of Miami doesn't oversee the schools, but we need to be in partnership with our school board members in Miami-Dade County Public Schools because they are our kids, right? But then also changing the concept of how we, outside of the school, develop and assist our parents as well as our students. So I'm a really big advocate for our child savings account programs. I'm a big advocate for our after school and really having a concept of universal pre-K in our city. I'm a huge advocate for our 12th graders being able to transition from our high schools and go to a 2 or 4 year state school or vocational or training program on us. I call that Miami Promise, where we will literally cover their tuition and fees. So the concept is, I know I'm not the school board member. I know I'm not the superintendent of public schools, but as your commissioner, the plan is to have a comprehensive approach and to tackle things that I personally can do, but then also make sure we're holding other people accountable to do their part as well.
Thank you, Mr. Hepburn. Ms. Jolie?
Well, being accountable for things that are being done to our children, it sounds good. But what I believe in is that the parents who have the best interests of their children be the one pushing the same way we have other special interests. What better special interest is going to be around than having the interests of our own children? We have a school board, which, you know, the Miami school board was dismantled, as Ms. Joy has said. But we have a school board right now that is borderline necessary. We don't care about our children in school. My son goes to Law Enforcement Officers Memorial High School. It's a magnet school downtown next to the police station. You know what the best feeling is knowing that your child is going to school and is going to receive education, language arts, math, civic, and that he is going to come home and he's secure. Miami doesn't give that to children. The schools right now, we don't have any politician, any mayor who's going to be so interested in knowing that parents have confidence in the schools that they run in the city. We need to empower more empowerment to the parents and less to the teachers union.
Thank you, Ms. Jolie. Mr. Smith?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I really hear a lot in that question, and I really appreciate how the questioner, how she also reached out to parents who were sending their kids to that school too, to try to see what could be done together. And I think that's really key. You know, the questioner mentioned a prior citywide committee, and I think that our prior Mayor Diaz, that he did a lot of positive things in that respect by putting education as a priority for the city, even if it's not within the city's technical jurisdiction. And, you know, looking to improve all of our schools, you know, not just one. And another thing that I have heard, and of course there are concerns about schools, but one thing that's been encouraging to me as I go out and and talk to folks in throughout my district is how they are seeing the quality of schools improving. And so what I would hope is that the city should work together with the county and the school board to make the improvements that that my constituents have seen spread across the board.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Fremont, do we have a connection? I see you there. Can we hear you?
Yes, we do.
There we go. Did you hear the question that was posed about schools and how, as a commissioner, you would affect?
You guys hear me?
We're having some problems with your connection, Mr. Fremont. I'm sorry.
No, I did not. Can you repeat it for
There
me,
we go.
please?
There you go. The question was.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you. The question was, and just to encapsulate it, the city of Miami has an issue with providing access to high quality schools to all of its residents, specifically the central business district, but it's not isolated just to the downtown area. What would you do? And the city is not really a player in education right now or education issues because it disbanded its education committee a couple of years ago. So how would you, as a new commissioner, change this effect? And what would you do to make a difference in access to high quality schools, not just in downtown, but throughout the Magic City?
Okay. First of all, I would like to say thank you for having me. As you can see, we have some technical difficulties, but we're back. And this is what being a leader is all about. When things get down, you know, you got to find ways to get things back up. And being born and raised in Miami, Florida, and going to Morningside Elementary, Horseman Middle, and Miami Edison Senior High School, I can and will agree to you that yes, there's a lack of support to local public schools, especially in the inner city. And there's so much great programs that can benefit to society that's, you know, that's being picked on certain places within the district. And you know, one way I would like, you know, to work on, you know, educational teachings is by working with Miami-Dade County and find some way we can create some type of committee within the city of Miami that, you know, correlates with the Miami-Dade public schools. And pretty much within that correlation, we can, you know, get ideas and how we can, you know, implement better education subjects, such as, let's say, coding. Coding, you know, in order to learn coding, you have to be in the magnet program or you need to go to a special coding school. I would like.
You muted yourself.
Zico, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Did you guys get that?
No.
Okay, so pretty much to put in a quick summary.
Mute. It's mute again.
So,
Zico, you mute. Can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Now, yes. Now, yes.
We stopped hearing you as you started talking
So-
about coding.
Okay. All right. So after coding, I was talking about digital currency. I was talking about, the new adventures of innovation being implemented in our district, in our communities that lack of these innovation, these new teachings. You see it in areas that pretty much people don't see, people don't choose to teach these curriculums. And I would like to see more of that. And by doing so, I would like to create like a committee with Miami-Dade Public Schools that can implement these subjects so we can better ourselves and better our city and pretty much better our world.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Fremont. So the next question, and we'll start with Ms. Jolie. What quality of life issues, now that you've been out on the campaign trail and know the Magic City well, what would you say are the top 3 quality of life issues that folks in the city of Miami or in the Magic City are dealing with? And how are you going to address those as our new mayor?
Safety, jobs, and hygiene. Safety is no mystery to anyone that we need more policing. Police means safer neighborhood. We need jobs. Why the developers insist in building and creating and constructing in cities that are already at the top of their game? Why the developers don't get any incentive of building in those communities that need jobs and it needs more life to the community? And also we need hygiene. The first accomplishment that anybody can have is knowing that they have a clean environment. Is that nothing that have to be taught or a big implementation when we don't have a clean city. And for me, those are the 3 aspects that we need to focus on. And also that families will be thankful that somebody is looking after those 3 aspects, which is safety, which is jobs, and also hygiene of their city, the cleanliness.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jolie. Let's go to Mr. Smith.
Sure. So some of the 3 things that I hear a lot of, and my district is very different. Whenever I'm talking in the roads or whenever I'm in Little Havana, but one thing that really strikes me is just cleanliness. There's way too much trash on the streets, and that's an issue both of having places to put trash and having a culture of cleaning up. So that's something that I would address directly. Myself, I'll be out there helping to pick up trash. I'll be out there helping to organize people to help us kind of shift the way that we look at our streets. The second thing that I do hear a lot of is maintenance of public spaces, parks specifically. There's a lot of concern about people want parks, but there's concern about how they're maintained. And that really does affect quality of life because people don't feel comfortable going to the park. They don't feel like it's safe. They don't feel like it's clean. And that's going to expand up. That means talking to our budget priorities to make sure that we have the staffing for our parks and the park space so that we can all enjoy our city. And there are issues of public safety, but public safety is first is the connection between the police officers and the community, but it's also a broader notion of public safety. It's not just that. It's people that feel safe both in their homes and also when they're walking on the street.
Thank you.
And that's going to involve us looking at a wide array of things that I don't quite have time to get to, but it's definitely going to be a community-led effort.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Hepburn.
All right, so number 1, and this is across all my 31 precincts, illegal dumping. That is a major issue. We're actually working on, for the last 5 months, I've been working with the police chief and the city commissioners, neighborhood service center, officers, you name it, for us to push forth new policy related to illegal dumping in our city, for us to get more aggressive with how we investigate our violators, for us to be more proactive with how we're going block by block to enforce code enforcement or code compliance, I'm sorry. code compliance, as well as other entities to bring us aboard together, right? Two, depending on where I'm at, definitely in the center of my district, we have a whole lot of conversations about healthy housing. Healthy housing consists of affordability, but then also more of, Michael, can you help me stay in my current home? Michael, can you help me transition to some place I can afford? Michael, can you help me make sure that the places that I'm living are in compliance and not dangerous? Or that something can happen because of some of my slumlords, to be honest with you. And then the third is more related to safety, but not over policing, but the concept of us coming together to have comprehensive ideas and plans on how we can aggressively attack making all of our communities safe, but not just from like a lethal weapon on your hip, making sure that communities know where to go for answers, making sure our youth know where they can go to be leaders, making sure our elders feel safe walking down their blocks. So if I had to say three, comprehensive public safety, illegal dumping, and healthy housing.
Appreciate it. And Mr. Fremont? You there, Mr. Fremont? No, I think we might have lost him altogether. I don't see. I see there's somebody with their hand up, Mr. Solomon. Mr. Solomon, did you have a question? You can unmute yourself, Mr. Solomon. All right, we'll wait on that.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Reverend Lincoln?
Is this Reverend Lincoln?
Yeah, I'd like to speak.
Oh, good, Reverend Lincoln. Perfect. We're glad to have you back. Let me get you the last question that was asked so that you can go ahead and answer it. The last question that was asked is, you've been walking your district and talking to the residents. What are the top 3 quality of life issues they said are a priority, and how would you address them as our commissioner?
As being the commissioner for District 5, it is crucial for me to make sure everyone have housing, eradicating homeless, and to have a better wage. Everyone should have a job, and we should have better infrastructure in District 5 in general, and better bus services. We don't have that. We don't have that. I feel competent, and that I would be the best commissioner to make the changes in District 5 for the past 70 years that commissioner has been coming and going and have not done much to remove the bent and the depression in Overtown. And I feel I can do that.
Excellent. Thank you, Reverend Lincoln. Mr. Fremont, are you there? Mr. Fremont?
So why could I self? I can see the other people.
You don't have your camera on?
Let me move Miss.
Baby, why the camera is not on?
It's coming on. The camera will come on right now, Reverend Lincoln. All right, let's move on to our next question. And actually, this one, I'll go ahead and ask. And actually, you addressed this earlier. All of your predecessors have made the similar promises and pledges to get elected that you're making tonight. And actually, one of you mentioned that earlier today. And one by one, they failed because we have a dysfunctional city government that's not addressing the needs of the people. What in your track record shows that you and your approach are different and can succeed? Let's start with Ms. Jolie.
You only have to, I'm gonna be modest here. You type my name and you will see only good things happening in the community in which I initiated or I'm part of it. The most difficult thing is to to play your own trumpet, or be the one that championing yourself and kind of playing your own drums, you will say. For me, good is made where it needs to be done. But the good that you do for the community that is done in silence, speak louder than just being in front of the camera, or bringing a camera just to document whatever you're doing. So probably I don't have that much of a cloud when it comes to big names doing big things. Perhaps I don't need to go in front of a camera just to help a friend in need. Just check who Myra Jolly's been. I don't have a big agenda. I just have my track record of what I have done to this point in my life, even if I don't have or hold a position, even when I'm not running. So that myself, what you see is what you're gonna get.
Thank you, Ms. Jolie. Let's go next with Mr. Hepburn.
All right, I'm gonna be clear about this one. I do not make promises I don't keep. And I'm gonna be very honest about this. I'm not, and if I'm wrong, y'all can check me. But I may actually be the only person here tonight that has advocated and successfully written legislation for the city of Miami. So from sitting on the Park and Recreation Board when there was an issue in our waterways with polystyrene, or AKA styrofoam, being in our waters, we wrote a law that got passed to ban that from our parks and our waterways. When we had issues with illegal dumping over the last 5 months, I mobilized, activated, got people together. We're increasing our police force that investigate this. We're changing our fines. We're also incorporating more cameras and other initiatives. And that came from community-led activism that I was leading. I wrote policy related to even changing election laws. Back when Francis Suarez was the commissioner and not the mayor, I wrote legislation that he sponsored that allowed candidates, you tonight, to be able to qualify to run for office through petitions, and also lower the fee that you pay. That was legislation that I actually wrote as an advocate, as an activist, as a community member, that got passed on the dais. Every single thing that I put forth on my agenda, every single platform item that we talked about, I know how we're paying for it. I know where my vote's coming from. I know how our community can mobilize the dais to get it done. And I know if it's not coming from the dais, I know how we're going to get it done throughout our community and our nonprofit and philanthropy. So just wanted to say that our community do not need any more promises that people cannot meet, because that is killing us as a society. And I promise that everything we push forward from this administration, we're going to get done.
Thank you, Mr. Hepburn. Reverend Lincoln. Reverend Lincoln.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and your camera, if you turn it on, should be working also.
Put down the camera.
What in your track record tells us that you're going to be different? Keep your promises and your pledges.
Yes, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Reverend. Go for it. Your time is running.
May I ask your name?
Sam Joseph.
Oh, Mr. Joseph. With all the talk I heard with those candidates, you know, those promises had been made all the time, all along. And still, this District 5 has been, most of District 5 is considered a decadent society and have been depressed and suppressed and has been bent. And they cannot remove that. And Reverend Lincoln can do that. And I feel that I can do much better than all of them. And if you have my platform, what I will do. What we do need, we need housing for all, homeless and everybody. Low income housing, not affordable. Low income housing. We need jobs where we can pay people $15 at least, or $18 an hour. And we have the means to do that. We have the manpower, we have the land, and we have the financial resources to make people in the United States happy. What happened here?
That was just the timer going off, Reverend Lincoln.
Yeah. So Joseph, listen to me carefully. I am running not as a political entity, but as a humanist and a practicalist. If the citizens need me 3 p.m. or 3 a.m., I will respond. And here I am telling the citizen right now, I can be commissioned.
Thank you, Reverend Lincoln. Mr. Fremont, are you there? Mr. Fremont? I don't see him. All right, let's go on to Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you. So the question I heard was about a track record and approach. And whenever I reflect on that, I go back to what I read. I started this forum with you guys, and that is that I learned how to be a lawyer and an activist by being led by community organizations. I don't believe in top-down solutions. So in that way, my approach is going to be different. It's not about having power for its own sake. It's about building coalitions to try to get things done. And that's what I have done in the context of my nonprofit work and in the context of my community service. And that's the way that I would approach problems that would arise before the commission.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Fremont, I see you there. Okay. Did you hear the question?
No, can you repeat it
Of course.
again?
Of course.
Please.
And actually, try actually cutting your video feed, because that might help with the technical issue. So here's the question. The question is, we get a lot of these promises and pledges from folks who are running for office all the time. Every single one of the people who's on the dais right now made some of the same promises and pledges that you all are making tonight. What in your track record shows that you and or your approach is different and can succeed?
Well, I've been taught in business school to keep your goals in line and stay focused on them. So I don't have a lot that I need to get done, but more importantly, was 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 everyone's dealing with is safety in District 5. That's something that we all need to go ahead and start putting more implications on. To keep it short, my mom is a police officer. I've been getting a lot. I live in these experiences for so long, and I was born and raised in District 5, and that's safety is very important because I've grown all my life in District 5, and it's always not to its full potential. So that's one of my goals, my focus that we need to get done. And as a young man that's been across District 5, and when it comes to gun violence and stuff, I lived in these communities, and that's something that scares me all the time. And running for commissioner, that's one of my main goals, is to make safety a big priority. Second is with COVID-19 and with so much things going on, our future is at risk. So my goal is to make sure that we prepare ourselves for any emergency protocols, hurricanes. So that's two of my goals, to know more about my key focus.
Thank you, Mr. Fremont. Actually, I'm going to stay on this line of questioning for a minute, and this has to do with actually an issue in District 5, but it's not actually just specifically in District 5, and it's also an education issue.
Right, totally agree, and I wish we.
The question that I have for you is, and well, first let me give you the stat. About 2 or 3 years ago, in meeting with the school district, we were informed by Miami-Dade County Public Schools that fewer than 25% of the children who live in Overtown attend the schools in Overtown. And one of the issues that Brickell Homeowners Association has been dealing with directly with the city since 14 is the issue of losing our families who are moving out of the city to find high quality schools because they can't find them in the urban core.
I
And
agree.
again, this is an issue that is not just specifically a problem in District 5 because there are issues in almost every one of the districts with
Right.
access to high quality schools.
The reason why I focus on District 5 is because I was born and raised.
What will you do as newly elected officials to really take a deeper dive into the issue of family flight, taxpayer flight, because they don't have access to the infrastructure that they need to stay in the Magic City? And we are losing families. Let's start with Mr. Smith.
Sure. I have to tell you that's that's a concerning to hear, and it always pains me whenever my friends leave Miami, because I love the city and I want them to stay. But when we look at schools, I think that one of the most important things is that these are community-led solutions. Kind of going back to the question that we had earlier, talking about how she reached out to other parents, and I think that that's an amazing way to start. And then the citywide committee that we've had in the past. So often the plans are there, it's the lack of political will. And I'm hearing lots of people that are ready to make the efforts. And so then the question is, are political leadership going to support them in those efforts? And that's where I would start. And then we would go from there to figure out how to fix this, because no one should have to leave to find a better school.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Next, let's have Mr. Hepburn.
So this goes back to the heart of us talking about safe and sustainable neighborhoods, as well as our economic and workforce development concepts. To be very honest with you, a lot of the conversations I have is about how can we do better with creating generational wealth in our city, in our district? How can we push forward initiatives that's going to have people stay in their homes and build new homeowners or people that can, in a sense, own condos and different properties of assets? How do we invest in our youth more through our Summer Connect programs and invest in them early from the universal pre-K or our after-school programs or child care concepts? How do we make sure that our kids can monetize a skill set when they leave our high schools to be able to stay in this city and afford to live in this city? And then we talk about just the concept of what's taking place with developers and how we're building out our different blocks. And are we at the table? Do we have true representation as far as what housing looks like, as far as what our city looks like the next 10, 15, 20 years from now? So you got to come at it from all different fronts. We're pushing policy that comes with reutilizing how we use our anti-poverty funds, to changing the concept of how we educate in our schools through the city, through making sure that we're creating pathways for residents to stay here as homeowners, to making sure we change the concept of advocacy with our government. Because when people feel tied to this community, to their neighborhoods, when they know how to advocate and be civically engaged, when they know that they have a financial stake in these blocks, things change, schools change, mental mindsets change.
Thank
when
you, Mr.
you not
Hepburn.
invest in that, then that's when you have flight. That's when you have people seeking other neighborhoods, other opportunities, other states. And that cannot continue to happen in our district because we have a whole lot of assets that we're not taking advantage of.
Appreciate it. Ms. Jolie?
I don't, different from you, Mr. Smith, I love it when my friends leave, because that means that they're branching out. There are more places where we can go and visit them. Density is a problem that will affect us all. So we cannot always stay in the same place. Families, when a couple get married, they're thinking and having kids, they're thinking and started their life. They are looking for, not if the view is good, not if they have a deck. They are looking at the schools. Coral Gables have the Coral Gables High School, Ponce de Leon Middle School. People from downtown, from overtown, from Little Haiti, from Little Havana, they want their kids to be attending those schools because they figure the Coral Gables residents will send their kids to those schools, and there is a better chance of the children having a better education, or maybe having a better environment of friendship around them. But everything goes down if there is no safety. So we have Booker T at Washington. It's a great school. One of my nephews was one of the best students and Booker T. Washington. We have other schools in Overtown, Liberty City, downtown, Little Haiti, Alapata. We don't want to move everybody out of there to move them into the Coral Gables High School. We need to make sure that children are staying in that school, but we need more policing. Because if police are in the area, that means parents will send them there because beside the good education, they're going to be safe. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to make sure those schools that we already have are safe. And we have people to keep them safe.
Thank you very much. Miss Reverend Lincoln? Reverend Lincoln? Are you there? Did you hear the question?
Yes, I heard everything, Joseph.
Go for it. Your time, you're on.
All right. Now, Joseph, whatever those candidate was talking, from my point of view, it is kind of trivial. It's kind of repeating themselves because they wanted to be voted in. What we have to do, we have to be more practical to meet the people, to work with the commonality. You know, we have enough schools and we have enough pre-K, we have enough of that. We don't even have enough children. So we don't need that. And I'm agree with the city of Miami who disband a portion of that. What I do want to see that the people have low income housing, not low income, yes, low income housing. Look, that is a shortage, housing, good jobs. And we have everyone to go to work. We are here in Overtown, we have a place called Transition. They are helping people for everything. If you're a felon, we give you a job. We do a resume, we do everything for you here. People are not short for nothing. People.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Lincoln.
Well, let me continue, Joseph, a little bit more.
Just one, for a few more seconds, wrap it up.
Yeah, so Joseph, what do you think about my comment?
It doesn't matter what I think. It really matters what the voters out there think.
I know, but
I like what I'm hearing from all the candidates. But you know, as we said, we hear a lot of sweet music during this time from all.
All right, Joseph. All right, hold it now. Listen to me, darling. Listen to me. What I want you to what the voters to understand out there. Only Reverend Lincoln have the capacity to meet their needs.
All right, I'll leave it there for that. Mr. Fremont.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go for it.
Perfect. You mentioned fly to fight, right?
Yep.
All of my friends left Miami. They went to other states to find better opportunities. And the excuse is, well, it is the truth. There's a lack of opportunity. There's lack of opportunities for example, I have a degree in international relations, and everyone's telling me to go Washington D.C. You know, go to these cities because you'll get a better opportunity finding a job. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not saying they're right, but you know, I haven't fought to find a job in that industry. But I didn't fly away. I just took it. And find ways to make what I learned better my community. From this degree, I learned how to do immigrant.
Nope, we seem to have lost you, Mr.
I've worked. I did independent work, and we need to do more for the sense that live them upsell and to make.
Thank you, Mr.
Look what I did. Look at my degree.
Thank you, Mr. Fremont. The next question I'm going to ask, I'm actually going to tee off. It's actually going to be asked by one of our colleagues, but I'm going to share my screen with you all. I'm going to tee the question off first with a video. It's not long. Can you all see my screen? If you can give me a wave. Okay, perfect. Here we go. Let me run it one more time because it's not that long. That is a video that was sent amongst the many, I told you, overwhelming number of communications from residents who are living in downtown Miami, in the Brickell area at Riverside. There has been unbelievable noise. By the way, that was one of the condos at, I believe, 1:30 in the morning. And a family trying to get some sleep. So I'm going to ask Joy Prevor, who lives in downtown Miami and knows a lot about noise issues and code compliance, to ask the question about noise. Joy, you're up.
So I think we all moved to the urban core because we love to be in the middle of the action, right? However, I don't think that means that we have agreed to subject ourselves to abuse. And that is what's happening right now. As the development grows and the lack of controls are not put in place or not enforced, not only are we getting a barrage of noise from establishments that play music early into the morning, we are getting noise from boats that are able to play music and have parties all night long. We are even experiencing crazy gangs of motorcycles that ride up and down Biscayne Boulevard in a very dangerous manner and create incredible noise for condos all over the place. You all have heard about our struggles with major events such as Ultra. There are some rules in place to try to control this. There need to be more, but most importantly, there needs to be enforcement of the code. We are in a situation where you could call whoever it is you're supposed to call to report a noise issue, and they don't even freaking answer the phone. So I would like to hear from all of you how you plan to address issues such as this that require a lot of coordination, because it's not just the city, it's the police, then the Marine Police, then the Bayfront Park Trust Management, right? So you've got all these different entities, many coordinated.
Well, let's throw in the county and others.
Thank you.
Let's start off. I want to start this question off with Ms. Jolie. And let me say this. The video that you saw and the emails that came in, all of the current administration were CC'd on this. The mayor, our How Can I Help You mayor, did answer after 3 months with one response of my staff is looking into it. But there has been absolutely no resolution to this issue in almost 6 months for residents. Our city has gone AWOL. So, Ms. Jolie, how are you going to change the way our residents are served by their public servants, and especially dealing with issues specifically like this one?
I fire the staff, because if they are not doing the job of letting Mr. Mayor know that instead of going to a meeting and having some sort of party at a nightclub in Miami Beach, he had to do the job that he was commissioned to do, which is to take care of the residents. The reason why they send you to the staff is because when that restaurant was asking for that license, everybody was for the restaurant. And then you have to have like 200 family members and in residents of the city of Miami sitting there to see if they will have the honor of letting them speak. That's what happened. They will sign up with the owner of the restaurant, and they forget about the residents. They will tell the residents that this is not going to interfere with their quality of life. And then goes the next project, it's the next project. That's when we have to, at this point, if the government is not putting the residents first, why do we need the government? Why do we need a mayor? Why do we need a vice mayor, the staff? Why do we need that big government, which it doesn't serve you at all? You are the bosses. Why you have to be asking for permission and waiting for a phone call for 3 months just to see if somebody answers you? So
Thank you,
you know what's the deal here? Is your vote is their money, but it's your taxpayers' money. So fire them all.
Thank you, Ms. Jolie. Mr. Smith.
Sure. So thank you for sharing the video, and thank you for the question. That's very concerning. And the point that I heard you make, Sam, is the issue of coordination. And this sounds to me like this is an all hands on deck kind of problem, because you're going to need everything from the State Highway Patrol down to City of Miami, County, Marine. And so what I would do is I would call for a commission of everybody. And then we got to sit down and we got to look at what are the things that work, what are the things that do not, get all of our community input, and then have a forceful response, not a response of just fining and penalizing, but really seeing how we can create a solution to this, because that's just not acceptable. And people do need to have that, that peace of mind that they can sleep without hearing, sounds at 2:30 in the morning in their bedroom. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Hepburn?
A couple things. One, we deal with it too. So from my lovely block canvases from Overtown to Wynwood, you can definitely imagine I've had a whole lot of noise complaints, nuisance issues. I reached out to code compliance, actually know the director or the interim director right now, got him on the speed dial on the phone. So we've literally solved about maybe 26 to 27 cases over the course of maybe 4 to 5 months, right? But I can definitely say our departments have been very non-responsive. Our response from our elected officials isn't what you think it should be. Myra brought up a good point about firing. Unfortunately, she cannot, or the mayor cannot fire them, but city commissioners, we can fire the city manager, which would then in a sense change how we operate our departments. So I can definitely say we've had that conversation on multiple occasions throughout our district. So amending code, putting the E back into code enforcement instead of just code compliance, having some real conversations about how we build bridges and collaborate throughout other municipalities and government agencies. But real talk, having our people advocate and mobilize to have representation at the dais that's actually going to listen to them, right? Because I can do it in one district, but I need other votes. So that means other commissioners feel in the same way that I feel about putting our people first and making sure that we are creating safe and livable environments for all of us.
Thank you,
and that's how we approach this.
Appreciate it. Reverend Lincoln. You there, Reverend Lincoln?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Tell me about noise.
All right. So Joseph, in the noise, I am dealing with the noise here in Overtown a lot. So what we need to do is to give these people, do a civil citation on these people because they don't listen. And I told the Manny Morales, I told him about his civil citation and how to have warrant. The police should have warrant to get into these places to see what's happening, because these places with the noise is all drugs, late night music. And here in Overtown, let me tell you something. We have a man is coming outside from Overtown to cook on the street of 16 and 3rd with no license, no water, and all the hog fat is on the road, and the road become black, and our road is not even clean. So we need to cite these people, civil citation, warn them once, twice, or thrice, and then cite them heavily.
Thank you very much, Reverend Lincoln.
Good.
Fremont.
Yes. Well, I used to DJ, and I'm gonna be very, very straightforward. I'm gonna keep it 100. Um, from my experience, yes, there's been a lot of noise in these areas, and mind you, if I totally feel the same way as a tenant living around the area, and need to go sleep because I have work tomorrow and I have to have a productive day. I understand that. More importantly, what I understand is that these businesses, it's the nightlife business. So the music, the ambience should be at its top. As a city commissioner, first thing foremost, we need to enforce that there's a time, or there's a day when you can exceed large amount of sound in the area. But more importantly, the enforcement and making sure everyone in the community know where they're at, and as a community we have businesses there, and their businesses as an entertainment. Everyone should know how their community function, and have some type of understanding of this is how this business make money, but these businesses needs to know these people lives here, and these people need to get rest to go ahead and work. So more community engagement.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, look at the time, folks. We've done really well here. What I want to do, just looking in the chat, make sure I've gotten to all the questions, and it looks like we have.
There was one question that somebody posed in reference to prioritizing families over development. It was a long one.
I didn't see that one. Where did that go?
I don't know. I saw it somewhere.
All right.
It was actually, Sam, related to the education issue.
Oh, okay. All right. And maybe you guys can address.
Oh, this is what it said. Will you, as a commissioner and/or mayor, promise transparency to families on key school factors, such as course offering, enrichment opportunities, teacher experience levels, etc., and the degree to which students of different races and income levels receive these benefits? Will you focus on what can benefit families over real estate?
Ms. Jolie, you should do my job. Let's I like that question, and I'm gonna make it only a 30-second answer. Let's start with Mr. Hepburn.
I repeat the last part for me. What was the last part of the question?
It really is about transparency and working with families to get the infrastructure, specifically the education infrastructure we need to be the next Silicon Beach or Miami Tech. Go for it.
A quick one. So my whole gist of how I operate is from the ground up, right? So I'm a former executive, as y'all know, community organizer. So everything I do is rooted in the concept of speaking to the people first, building bridges, bringing us together collectively to then identify solutions for us to move forward, right? So every single issue that comes up in our district so far, some things I know we have pathways to get to. Some stuff is not necessarily what we can do on the city level, but the biggest promise is once we get people together for them to see the solutions that we can tackle and see us as an asset and not a deficit in our district and in our city, then that's how we push forward transparency as well as moving forward together.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Mr. Smith.
Sure, thank you. Yes, I mean, I hear a question about both. As it relates to transparency, I mean, really what I hear a lot of is that there's just a lack of trust in the leadership. The leadership isn't honest. And I think that's something that we have to address directly by getting out in the community and talking to people, being accessible and being responsive. When it comes to developing Miami for what it can be in the future, to me, it's not looking at just one thing, it's looking at a variety of things and the things that are going to provide the best kind of jobs for people that live here and that grow up here. Silicon Beach would be great. To me, I think also a priority is climate change infrastructure and the engineering that goes along with it. And you know, those are the kinds of things that really get me motivated and up in the morning.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Reverend Lincoln. Transparency.
Yeah. So Joseph, what are these people talking about transparency? What do they want? I mean, people have to live their life and you can't stop them, but you have to understand the psychology of these people to understand the behaviorism. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So all these people, even the police, they don't understand the psychology of the people. And once you understand the psychology and understand the behaviorism, that's the only way you can deal with the problem.
Thank you very much, Reverend Lincoln.
You like it?
Yes, I do. Mr. Fremont? Mr.
Hello?
Fremont? Yep, transparency.
Okay. Transparency. Well, to be quite honest with you, to be straightforward, you gotta be positive. You know, you have to be manifestness. You have to have boldness, visibility. You need to be honest when you and making mistakes, learning from your mistakes. You need to be you need to not be scared of making mistakes. You have to go. That's the only way. And from what I learned from a good speaker, he told me to shoot for the moon and land in the stars. So that means you know you just gotta go. You don't just aim low, aim high. At least if you miss, at least you aim high instead of aiming low, and just go with the flow. I mean, so.
Thank you, Mr. Fremont. All right, so here we are. We're going to move on to our candidate closing statements. And really, candidates, we're giving you a couple of minutes because, again, we want to get to know you and get to know how you would govern sitting on that dais down over at Dinner Key. So please give us as real a depiction of who you are and what it is you want to do with your candidacy so that, again, the voters can get a good depiction of or good information for making the right decision in November. So let's go ahead and we'll start again, ladies first, with Reverend Lincoln. You have 2 minutes for your closing statements, and the floor is yours. Reverend Lincoln?
Hold it.
2 minutes.
I am calling on behalf of people helping people. And I'm an activist in Overtown, and I have lived in Overtown for 22 years. And I was not satisfied because the people in District 5 don't have proper representation. And I feel I will be the best representation. Got me?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You still have time.
And folks out there, vote Reverend Lincoln. Yes, I will do whatever it takes. You call me 3 a.m., 3 p.m., I'll be there. Don't forget, vote Reverend Lincoln for Commissioner for District 5, 15th of November, 21.
Thank you very much, Reverend Lincoln. Let's go.
Sam, you got cut off. Mike is mute.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Fremont, you'll be next. You have 2 minutes, and the floor is yours. Mr. Fremont? One more time, Mr. Fremont. All right, we'll come back. Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. 2 minutes.
Perfect. Perfect.
Actually, you're breaking up. I'll come back to you, Mr. Fremont. Let's go with Mr. Hepburn.
Right.
2 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you. This is very personal to me. My mom was an early childhood education teacher in our city for more than a decade, worked at the Miami Art Museum when I was a kid. My dad went to Booker T High School, actually worked for public HUD, public housing, was actually part of the committee that started Model Cities and even helped build the Joseph Caleb Center, right? The blood that runs through my veins built this city. So it's very personal to me when I walk these blocks and I talk to my neighbors and I look at our youth and I look at our parks and I look at our city overall. And I think about where will we be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now? It's very personal to me because all I know is service. Titles are important, and I have a bunch of them, right? I'm a former executive for the National Football League. I've been a professor at a university, been an executive for the Target Corporation, even work at the Institute for Civic Engagement and Democracy at Miami-Dade College right now. But purpose is so much better. So that's why when I'm not at work, I'm out here trying to create change in our neighborhoods. I'm the only agent of change in this race that actually can win this race to bring home the stuff that we just talked about. The issues that you tell me each and every day when I'm coming to your houses and I answering the phone calls or receiving the emails. Michael, are we going to develop and preserve housing in our neighborhoods? Are we going to increase how our beautification concepts look? How we're going to push forward a new concept of what workforce development is and what economic opportunity looks like for all of us? Are we going to address gun violence as a public health issue and not just something that we run to every time here and there when it's important or it's on TV, right? This city can be so much. We call it the Magic City for a reason. So as your next City of Miami commissioner from District 5, trust me, I am pushing forth the concept that is putting people first will be our mantra. Having you have an open door policy to what we do because this is your city, this is your government, that is your dais. I am your commissioner is how we should say stuff, right? This is about we. No more of I's. This is about we. And then that's why I'm running to become your next City of Miami commissioner from District 5.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hepburn. Mr. Fremont, let's try again. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. The floor is yours. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's one motto my father told me. And I'm happy to be a candidate for commissioner for the City of Miami at District 5. And I'm happy to join. I'm happy to create my own journey. It's been hard, and as you can see, there's so much that's so difficult, but it's not hard to overcome. All you have to do is stay consistent and stay positive. And this is what I would bring as City of Miami Commissioner for District 5. We're going to have some good days and we're going to have some bad days. We're going to be together so we can go ahead and make tomorrow. So to close it out, I just want to say thank you for having me, and definitely our next now I would like to speak to you more further and discuss more about one topic we spoke about. But yeah, thank you for having me here, and yeah, there's more to my campaign than just District 5, City, Miami, Dade County, the state of Florida, and you know, I'm learning, and I'm gonna make the best out of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fremont.
You're welcome.
Let's go next to Mr. Smith. You have 2 minutes, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Joseph, for the way that you've conducted this, and you know, your respect for everybody and for their time, and thank you for those of you who prepared. I guess Ms. bravura. You were definitely prepared, and I appreciate that. There were a few things that stuck out to me about our time together. The first one is viability, and I think that was where we started, and that takes me to a story that really stuck out, that really kind of stayed with me. And I was talking to an older Cuban American woman living in Havana, and we were talking about the vaccine. And she told me that she got the vaccine. I said, that's fantastic. And then we talked some more, and I told her the election was this year. And she said, that's why I got the vaccine. And it's because people realize that they've been forgotten. People realize that their elected leaders don't care about them. And they realize that it's time for a change. And that's what I'm going to bring. And that's what I'm going to bring day after day, talking to people all over my district, listening to them, and bringing the fresh face and the new and the change that they're asking for to this commission and to the city of Miami. So thank you for your time. I'm always available. QuinnFromMiami.com, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. And last but not least, my co-moderator, an excellent question reader, Ms. Jolie. You have 2 minutes. The floor is yours.
I'm turning red, but it was just my makeup. One thing is this. This is the first debate that was put together by you, Sam, and it's sponsored by Christie House. You would be surprised how many of these politicians, they would love to go and carry a kid and go say that they are championing the children and the women and the traffic girls and whatever. They have the whole time in the world, but they didn't have the time to come for the first meeting, for the first debate, for the first meeting of the people, even if it was just 2,000 of us, just to say, why should we vote for you? They don't care about that. The people running for mayor of Miami now, apparently it's only me, and there is the incumbent mayor that is now. But don't worry, come September, you're gonna see a litany of people running for the seat. They're even trying to resuscitate people from the ground up to run for the mayor of Miami, because they claim they want good people, honest people to run. No, they don't. They don't. Because if they wanted honest people, they wouldn't go to destroy the person who's throwing their hat in the ring. You have to have thick skin to run for anything in this town. And I have it. Not only because my ancestors are from Africa and they really have this skin, like, pedicure style, but because I have been here before. And one thing as the mayor of Miami that I'm not gonna do, I'm not gonna force my constituents to